start our notes, I want to talk about the big ideas from yesterday. We had 3 big ideas yesterday. Okay? Big idea number 1.
Are we filming it?
Was all acute angles are
Less than 90.
that's true, less than 90.
Interior angles.
But what do I know is true about the measure of all acute angles when I have parallel lines and transversal?
They're less than 90.
What do I know about their measures compared to each other?
They're the same.
I hear equal, the same.
All acutes are the same.
Yeah, and we're going to use the word congruent, okay? Big idea number 1, all of our acute angles when we have parallel lines and transversal are congruent. Big idea 2 was all obtuse angles are, yep, all obtuse are congruent,
I don't have space to write this.
okay? And big idea number 3 then was if I had one of each,
They would be equal supplementary.
yeah,
How do you guys know this?
because
Guess it.
they make a linear pair, right? One of each makes a linear pair. So I'm just jotting those down. I'm going to erase this section. 3 big ideas. And we're going to use these big ideas to inform the rest of what we're doing, okay? All the acutes are the same. All the obtuse are the same. And one of each will always be supplementary if our lines are parallel, right? That's kind of what we did with discovery yesterday. So let's start with corresponding, because we kind of talked about that yesterday. So we're going to jump down to the third angle pair first. And corresponding angles are angles. I'm looking for paper.
So is it the corresponding angle?
So the corresponding angles, they're angles in matching corners of a figure formed by 2 lines and a transversal. Okay, so looking at the figure above, it's given us angles 1 and 5. So do you see how 1 is on like the left side of these angles and 5 is also on the left side of these angles?
Mm-hmm.
And remember we talked about taking these 4 angles and sliding them down and that they'd match up perfect?
Mm-hmm.
So 1 and 5 correspond. Okay? What other angles correspond from up
6 and
there?
2. 5 and 7.
I'm missing like an important thing to keep order up in here.
4 and 8.
Samra,
2 and 7. 3 and 7.
3 and 7, I see that. Angle
When did
3
we
and 7.
start calling him Sam? I call him Haircut.
Okay. Tanyan,
You got 1 and 3.
1 and 3 are so they're congruent.
Oh, not corresponding. Okay, yeah. Then
So let's start with 1. What is
2 and 8. Or not 2 and 8, 2 and 6.
2 and 6? I'll take 2 and 6. Okay, so let's go over. Do you see off to the right that it says corresponding angles?
Yeah. That was
I want you to use some different colors or different shapes or highlighting.
I don't have.
And we're going to pick out all the different corresponding angles. So I recognize that 7 corresponds to 3. Who can tell me what 8 corresponds to over there?
4.
Thank you, Mikey.
Oh, you want to do. Oh, I got
Next, Colin, what corresponds to 5?
1.
He's at college.
I met Connor.
Wait, what?
My
Which
bad.
one was that one? The one.
Will, what corresponds to 6?
2.
2, right? So we have pairs, all these corresponding angles. In corresponding angles, I'm going to write it next to it. Corresponding angles are always congruent. Means they have the same measure, no matter what. All the corresponding angles have the same measure. So, let's jump up to alternate interior angles. Now, what I'm going to suggest is don't memorize what each one of these is. Use the language of the words to help you kind of figure what it is. So, let's look at the words for it. Angles that lie. So it says interior. So you think it's going to be between your parallel lines or outside of them? Between. So they lie between 2 lines. And if it's alternate, do you think it's on the same side of the transversal?
Opposite.
Or opposite sides?
Opposite.
Yes, opposite sides of the transversal. And you can just use the words, like, don't memorize it, just use the words. Alternate interior, opposite sides of the transversal on the inside. So the example they give us from above are 4 and 6. So see how 4 and 6 are opposite of the transversal, but on the inside of our parallel lines?
Wait.
So the other pair of alternate interior angles would be what, Joseph?
3 and 5.
3 and 5, correct.
Oh.
I also want to point out, do you notice this little symbol in front? If you were writing and you meant angle 3, you would need to write this little angle symbol.
Yeah.
You know why? Because math is
Communication.
communication. All right. So let's go to our alternate interior angles and use some colors. So 5 would be the alternate interior angle of what, Camille? We're on the right side there, top right. So alternate 5 and 3. So is that on alternate sides of the transversal? Let's try it again. That's a good mistake. So interior, we're inside the parallel lines. We're looking for alternate, which means opposite side of the transversal. So 5 and what? I just can't hear you. Well, 2 is outside, not on the inside. Alternate interior. Yep. Well, are you looking at the picture on the right now, which is separate from the notes pile? Yep. Alternate interior to 5. Do you see how I have red 5 circled?
Let's just shout out the answer on the count of 3.
Right.
1.
Okay, are you looking? Do you see where I circled 5 up here? Okay, so I want the alternate interior angle to that. So opposite side of the transversal on the inside of our parallel lines. 8. So let's look at 8. Is that on the inside of our parallel lines? No. So it can't be 8. Good mistake. So inside the parallel lines, alternate corner. Because you have to cross. There we go. 5 and 4. Thank you, Camille. Thanks for sticking with it. All right. And the other pair would be what, Lily? Of alternate interior.
3 and 6.
3 and 6. Sweet. All right. So there's
That makes
alternate
so much
interior.
sense.
And you don't need to memorize it, right? Alternate is opposite sides of the transversal. Interior is inside our parallel lines. Let's look at alternate exterior. So instead of being between the two lines,
Outside.
outside of our two lines, you can cache them outside. Okay?
How about that?
2 lines. And if it's alternate, they're going to still be on opposite sides of the transversal, right? We're just using language. Uh-oh. I forgot to add something up top here. These alternate interior angles. Did you notice the obtuse and obtuse match and the acute matched?
Yeah.
So, congruent.
Why did you say it like congruent?
It's 'cause Halloween's coming, man.
Alright.
I drove by this house with a skeleton sitting in the chair out front and just inspired me. All right, so
Dude, you should see my house. I got like
Next.
taken from church.
next,
You have a pumpkin.
let's look up top.
You can see my house.
Let's look up top.
Yeah, so
Man,
much
I spent
time.
so much money this year.
It's saying 1 and 7. So let's identify 1 and 7. Outside the parallel lines,
Yep.
opposite sides of the transversal. Dylan, can you give me the other pair? 8 and 2. Angle 8 and angle 2.
No, wouldn't
Would
it
be the-
2 and 8?
It's the same thing. Okay. 8 and 2, 2 and 8.
See the note I did?
So, do you notice? So let's look at these quick. Obtuse, obtuse, acute, acute. So what do you know is going to be true about their measures? Congruent. All right. Let's go do our colors off to the side. So we're looking for alternate exterior angles over there. Tannen, give me one pair.
2 and 7.
2 and 7.
I agree.
All right. John, give me another pair.
8 and 1.
Yes,
Angle
there
8
you
and
go.
angle
It's
1. Excellent. Those are alternate sides of the transversal on the exterior of our parallel lines. Just focus on the language. Don't memorize stuff. Consecutive or same side interior. Okay? So if it's interior, is it going to be outside or between?
Between.
Yep, between our two lines. And if they're on the same side, they're going to be on the
Same side.
same side of the transversal.
I have the answer.
So they're giving us angles 4 and 5 as the given. Angle 4 and angle 5 are
3 and 6.
consecutive interior. What's the other pair? Henry?
Henry.
Here's 3 and 5. What's the other pair?
Not 3.
Or sorry, 4 and 5. 3 and 6 would be the other pair up top. So, we've got one acute and one obtuse there. What do we know is true about their measures then? Supplementary. You guys were thinking congruent, weren't you? Congruent. Supplementary. We've got one of each, one acute, one obtuse. So if we have consecutive interior angles, we know that they have a sum of 180.
Oh, yeah.
So, off to the side, let's get our colors going. We want consecutive interior angles. Will, give me a pair.
4 and 6.
Angle 4 and angle 6.
Yes, sir, Baron.
All right. And give me a pair.
3 and 5.
3 and 5, thank you. Cool. We got one more on here. Consecutive exterior.
That line.
So, is it going to be between or outside?
Outside.
Okay. That's outside the two lines. And if there are consecutive or the same side, they're going to be on the
Same side.
same side of the transversal. We're given 1 and 8. Notice same side of the
2 and 7,
transversal.
2 and 7.
The other one would be what? Lauren? 1 and 8 are consecutive exterior. What's the other pair? Yeah, 2 and 7. They're on the same side on the outside. So 2 and 7 would be our other pair there. And we've got a situation where we have one obtuse and one acute again. So what do we know about their angle measures?
Supplementary.
Supplementary. Whoa, something happened.
What if I followed in your footsteps, Mr. Mack, and became a teacher?
Sweet.
That'd be scary.
All right. Let's identify these pairs off to the side again.
Got 1 and 7.
All right. Drew, can you give me a pair? Consecutive exterior.
Yes, sir.
So consecutive means on the same side, right? Yeah, 1 and 7. Can you just give me the other pair since I got you right now? 2 and 8. There we go. And we know that those are supplementary. Cool. For a little practice, I want you on your own to try to complete the bottom there. So it's giving you an angle pair. You're going to say what type of angles they are. And then on the other side, you're going to give an example of those angles.
Like, are we going to say congruent?
All right, so I'm going to start displaying answers, but we're not going to necessarily talk through them. I'll display them all, and if there's an issue, you need to ask me about it, right? So, I know that there's other answers for the right column, all right? There's other answers you could have. The left column here, there aren't other answers for these. If something's not matching up, let's handle it. Let's talk about it. All right, Tanya, what do you want to look at?
Wait, is that an E or is that an F? Right there for number 3 on the other side.
That's an E.
Oh, it is?
Yeah.
See, I put okay. Yep.
C and E, or D and F would also work.
D and F. Yeah.
Wait,
C
Yep.
and F.
Wait, for corresponding with C and H work?
For
I mean,
course,
D and H? D and H?
yes, D and H would be corresponding.
And then for alternate exterior, would
Yeah.
D and A work?
Yes. Yep. There's more than one answer for some of those. Cool. So we're going to flip our notes over to the back now.
There's a map?
Yeah, man.
Got it.
Is this homework for tonight?
I'm going to change the directions on these notes. The directions say, if this is 56, what else is 56? On these two parallel lines with the transversal, I just want you to write down all the angle measures.
Okay.
All of them. Example, I know that this is 56, right?
Oh, I get it now. Yep.
And for my linear pairs,
What's 56? That would be
I know this would have to be
130.
124.
Oh, 24.
Okay? Which, this is vertical, but I also know all obtuse are Congruent, and I know all acute are
Easy done.
congruent. So
Are we doing the next one?
once you once you have one, you got them all, right?
No, the next one that doesn't work.
It works.
Oh, angle 5 is 115, right? Yeah, so
Yep. So I'm gonna.
Would it be 360 minus?
it's 180.
No, it's not.
That is.
That's gotta be
Wait.
Well, make sure you guys are talking about the same thing because a linear pair would equal 180, but all four together
Yeah.
in a cluster would equal 360, right?
But you could just do
So what's cool is there's a lot of ways to justify these. We've got vertical angles, we've got adjacent angles that make a linear pair, we've got corresponding angles, we've got alternate. We have multiple ways to explain why these things are congruent or supplementary, right?
Oh,
That's
sure.
kind of cool.
Example.
And if math is communication, it's nice to have multiple ways to explain something. So when I look at them, I know they're the same.
congruent.
They're both acute, they're alternate exterior, right? I know they're congruent. And if they're congruent, that means this angle equals
Got it.
this angle. Our statement of understanding actually is an equation, which we can then solve, right? Well, you don't even need the degrees there. 60. Do you guys see what I'm saying? Take that wide approach. Now, now what kind of, I already said what kind of the angles those are. They're alternate exterior. All right. Looking at B, Dylan, what do I know about those angles?
They're corresponding.
For B?
Oh, not me. I didn't see right away.
What do I know about those?
That they are. Alternative
Alternate, okay.
interior.
That's right. They are alternate interior. And what do I know about alternate interior angles? Or in this case, they're both obtuse.
And that they're supplementary.
Two obtuse angles can add equal 180?
They're
They're not corresponding. I think you're looking for another C word there.
corresponding.
Congruent. So if they're congruent, what that means is 2x plus 4 equals 140, correct? And so our understanding makes an equation that we can then solve. Do you see what I'm saying by like start with your understanding? Don't start with like, how do I get an equation out of this? Let your understanding take you there. So I'm going to skip C just for time. We would know that those two angles are equal to each other, right? Which should actually be 12. I'm going to skip that. And that those are corresponding. What type of angles are D? Anybody got a name
Wait, for which ones?
for D?
Would those just be alternate?
Well, they are alternate, right? But we don't have a name for this angle pair. Because one's on the inside, one's on the outside. So no name. What do I know is true about their values, though? I have an obtuse and an acute.
They're supplementary.
Yeah, so I know they're supplementary, which means that added together they equal 180. My understanding makes the equation, right? Do you see that? So it's just a little two-stepper.
X equals 10.
So x is 10, and it doesn't have a name. But it's all based on these three big ideas. Remember the big ideas? All acute angles are congruent. All obtuse angles are. And one of each is always?
Supplementary.
The three big ideas make it all happen, right? All right, so stick with your big ideas.